What would you do if someone built 20 vacation cabins on your family's land and then told you, straight-faced, it wasn't yours anymore? I remember standing there, absolutely stunned, as an excavator crushed the fence my dad built by hand. And Lana Whitmore, the HOA president, just shrugged and said, "The county already approved it. You don't get a say." Yeah, that happened. Now, we're talking about a piece of property worth over $10 million, with my name on the deed, clear as day. Did they think I was just going to roll over? They picked the wrong guy. The real story starts right at that moment, so let me back up and tell you how we got here. 3 years ago, my name was Ethan Cole, a 41-year-old construction engineer freshly laid off from Boeing after one of those corporate bloodbaths. Watching my savings trickle away and my resume get ghosted, I made a call that felt both desperate and inevitable. I packed up and headed back to Clearwater Lake, to the 15 acres of wild Washington forest my dad left me, thinking I'd start a little ecotourism business. My dad, Robert Cole, was a Vietnam vet who built that cabin from the ground up. He used to say the land held the family's soul, and selling it would be like selling your name. I grew up hiking those trails and fishing off that dock until cancer took him from us a decade back. I dragged out the drive from Seattle, stopping at every no-name diner and gas station, partly stalling, partly soaking up the landscape. My plan: create real wilderness experiences for city folks sick of overbooked national parks. Build a few green cabins, run some photo workshops, stay true to Dad's spirit, and do it right. I had the background. The land was drop-dead gorgeous. I figured, what could go wrong? Everything. As I crested the hill and looked down at the lake, I expected to feel like I was coming home. Instead, my heart just dropped. Where there should have been a weathered cabin and wildflower meadows, I saw 20 identical, modern cabins lined up like army barracks. The meadow was a paved lot. Those old Douglas firs gone. I sat there, engine idling, hands glued to the wheel, telling myself maybe I took a wrong turn. But I recognized Dad's Eagle's Perch rock. I knew the curve of the shoreline. This was my land, or used to be, before it got turned into some kind of luxury resort. And then I saw her, Lana Whitmore, marching out of the biggest cabin like she was the queen of Clearwater, dressed for Wall Street, not the woods. "You must be Ethan Cole," she said, all ice and forced charm. "I suppose you're here about the property transition." Property transition? Like losing my family's legacy was just a line item in her spreadsheet. I found my voice somewhere between disbelief and rage. "This is my land. My father left it to me. I've got the deed. What the hell are these cabins doing here?" She smiled that shark smile. "Mr. Cole, I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding. We sent certified letters about the community development project and voluntary land sale. After the notification period, the county approved our permits. Legal, documented, above board, according to her. Only, I never got any letters. Never agreed to sell." Lana kept her cool, spouting community benefits and economic growth, but her words might as well have been static. Then I spotted something that made my stomach turn. A familiar cabin, shoved a couple hundred yards south, half hidden by new landscaping. My dad's cabin. Not destroyed, just moved, like a chess piece. "You moved my father's cabin," I said, and for a split second, she looked almost rattled. "It's part of our heritage conservation," she replied, fake sweet. My family home turned into a community clubhouse. As I got closer, I noticed fresh sawdust and new tool marks. Someone had been poking around inside. "What were you looking for in there?" I pressed. For the first time, Lana looked scared, just for a heartbeat. Then it was gone. Routine maintenance. Nothing more. She offered to set up a meeting with her legal team, an invitation that sounded more like a threat. That night, I barely slept, turning over every detail. What was Lana so worried I'd find? I remembered Dad's old trail camera, one of those solar-powered military models he'd set up to track elk, supposedly able to run for years. If it survived, maybe it had caught something. The next morning, I parked out on the public road, snuck through the woods, and found that oak tree from my childhood, camouflaged camera still blinking. Back at my motel, I scrolled through months of footage, everything from forest clearing to cabin relocation, even Lana running the show like a general. But what froze my blood was a clip from 6 months earlier. Lana, with a county official, handing him a fat envelope. Their voices clear as day. "The geological survey found a vein much larger than we expected. We need more time before we can start extraction. This wasn't about housing. It was about mining and a bribe, plain as day. Dad always said, evidence only matters if you protect it. I made copies, uploaded everything to the cloud, and called the toughest property lawyer I could find, Jennifer Walsh, a real estate attorney with a reputation for destroying HOA fraudsters. When I showed her the footage, her eyes turned hard. You don't have a land dispute. You have a RICO case. She ran background on Lana. Turns out she'd pulled similar stunts in 3 counties. Form an HOA, bully landowners, flip property to shady developers. This was organized crime. Marcus, my old Army buddy turned cybersecurity expert, joined in next. He found my land's ownership records had been digitally erased, boundaries changed in tiny increments over 2 years across every mapping platform. Google, county, you name it. Not a local scam. Professional-grade cyber warfare, like something out of a spy movie, funded by millions from a Cayman Islands shell company. That company, linked to a Chinese lithium mining consortium. It all started to make sickening sense. 7 of Lana's 20 cabins weren't just on my land. They spilled onto federal conservation land, a massive crime against both me and the American taxpayers. Things escalated fast, cyber attacks on our devices, threats slipped under my windshield, even a small EMP device frying the motel's electronics. It was clear, we were up against international players, not just a greedy HOA. So I went back to Dad's cabin, slipped past security, and searched every inch until I found it, a hidden compartment behind the old gun rack. Inside, Dad's last journal and a sealed envelope. The journal told a story I never knew. Officials had tried to bribe him, threatened him, harassed my sister Jessica in Portland with similar tactics. The envelope contained the ultimate trump card, a trust document. Dad had set up the land so it could never be sold, only passed down, with strict legal triggers if anyone tried to steal it. And if anyone occupied or developed it illegally for more than 2 years, it would revert to state-protected wilderness. We had less than 3 months left on that clock. Bradford, Dad's old lawyer, confirmed the trust was bulletproof. He also found forged documents in court files, witnessed by a man who died 2 years before the supposed signing. It was so sloppy, so bold, it was almost funny, except for the part where these people had ruined dozens of families to get their hands on lithium deposits worth billions. When Marcus dug deeper, he uncovered what was really at stake. Clearwater Lake sat on one of the largest lithium reserves in North America. Lana's network of HOAs, it turned out, was covering a dozen counties' worth of strategic resources. The Chinese mining firm wanted it all and was using every trick in the book to get it: fraud, bribery, murder. A twist hit when David Morrison, son of the witness Lana supposedly used, called me. His dad, before his suspicious death, was blowing the whistle on Lana's operation. He believed his father had been killed to keep the conspiracy quiet. At this point, we had to go public. The FBI, the EPA, Fish and Wildlife, they all converged, led by Agent Rebecca Stone. She said we were in mortal danger and needed us to record Lana incriminating herself at the next HOA board meeting. Disguised as an environmental consultant, I sat through a meeting so brazen, it made my head spin. Lana casually admitted to bribing judges, killing whistleblowers, and taking orders from foreign partners, right on tape. They figured out my real identity halfway through, chaos erupted, but the feds crashed the meeting just in time. Lana went down hard, screaming that her backers were bigger than the FBI, that this was only the beginning. But we had her. Over 40 people were arrested, including a sitting senator and a corrupt federal judge. The Chinese company was banned, their assets seized, the fraudulent cabins bulldozed. Jessica kept her house, and dozens of families got their land and money back. Clearwater Lake became a federal conservation area, Dad's cabin was restored, and our story became the foundation of a national HOA Reform Act. Marcus built new tech for the FBI. Jennifer prosecuted fraudsters nationwide. David Morrison started a legal aid group. And our land stayed wild, protected, and alive with memory. Sometimes, when the sun rises over the lake and the woods start to heal, I wonder what Dad would say. I like to think he'd be proud, not just because we won, but because we made sure this fight mattered for more than ourselves. Now, let me leave you with this. What would you do if it happened to your family? Is fighting back against power worth the risk, or does it just paint a bigger target on your back? Drop your thoughts below. Tell me where you stand. If this story got your blood pumping, share it with someone who needs a reminder that sometimes the little guy really can win, and sometimes justice, when it finally shows up, is bigger than any of us imagined.